to become are all meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. Since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like the animals, the four orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmacharis or students under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. Hearing is the basic principle for understanding. And therefore, the pure brahmacharis engage fully in Hare Namanu Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from the vibrations of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in transcendental sound vibrations of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Similarly, the householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society. But a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society, because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted, unattached sex life is also a kind of yajna, because the restricted householder sacrifices his general tendency towards sense gratification for higher transcendental life. Jai Prabhupada. Very nice translation and purport. Let's stand up our prayers. O Bhagyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagarajatan Sahagana Raghunathanutam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutam Se Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Just conscious of time, we have 35 minutes. At 8:40, we will start reciting the Damodara Ashtakam prayers as we discussed in the beginning. First of all, thank you very much, everyone, for being here on a Sunday evening. You all had a wonderful Krishna conscious day, I'm sure. There's so many activities happening in the temple in this month of Kartik, the most beautiful, most auspicious month that we look forward to for the whole year. We chant the beautiful Damodar Ashtakam prayers. So that we will do later. I will discuss the verse for today. Shotra Dini Indriyananye. Shotra is like the hearing sense. So the reason, the Shotra Adi means others. So hearing and others. There are, senses. What are the hearing and touching and seeing and smelling and tasting, the different senses, of which hearing is the most important, and from where everything really begins. So first we hear, and then we kind of create a picture in the mind, and and we get convinced of something, and then we go to the next step. So hearing is considered as the most important most important sense. And it is said that that is the last sense that one loses before one gives up the body. And also the first sense that comes into existence is also the sound. That's why it's given importance. But the idea is it's not just the hearing, but all the other senses along with the hearing. Someone may control with the mind control, and Jivati offers in the fire of mental control. So Prabhupada translates this: the unadulterated brahmachari sacrifice the hearing process and the senses, other senses, in the fire of mental control. So this is so we've been discussing, Krishna started discussing different types of sacrifices being performed by different types of people. They follow different processes. And Krishna is explaining the two processes that are in discussion here today is the brahmacharis and the grahasthas, householders. So the householders sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. A beautiful sentence there. So what does it mean? It means that the householders who are little bit in one sense free from certain strict regulations that are followed by the brahmacharis. The brahmacharis typically in the old days, the students used to go and learn with in the gurukul, and they would live with the guru, and they would perform austerities there, and they would go out begging for the ashram, and they bring back every day, and whole day they would be studying under the guidance of the spiritual master, and they would fully dedicate all their senses. So whatever they hear is from the spiritual master, and then they control the mind, perform tapasya, and then under strict control of the activities they perform. So I'm thinking most of us are probably above that. I mean, one past the brahmachari state. It could be anyone, could be male or female. The females used to be trained by the parents and the mother specifically. Even today, both students, male or female, everyone is getting trained in their life to they have to study so much. In the old days, they used to study scriptures. Today, they have to study their education system. The process is still the same. But the ones which are householders, householder means married people, they use all their senses, in the sense whatever they do for Krishna. So yat karoshi yad asnasi yad jyosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kantaya tat kurishamadarpanam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever austerities you perform, whatever you take, whatever you give, you just do that in unto me. So that is the process that Krishna recommends. And the regulated householders, it's called grihasthas. Bhagavatam explains there are two types of householders. There is grihemedi and grihastha. Hastha is an ashram. There are 4 ashrams we discussed previously, Varna and ashrams. Ashrams are brahmacharis, there's grihastha, and then there is vanaprastha, and there is sannyasi. So in this chapter, and as the verse progresses, different types of ashrams and practitioners, Krishna will explain the different types of sacrifices everyone performs. Sacrifice or yajna is a must in the human life. It is not something that is done in any life. There is no yajna. And human life means yajna. Krishna says in the 18th chapter also that yajna, dan and tapa, these 3 activities must be carried on, no matter what varna or ashrams we are in. These activities should never be stopped. And in terms of grihastha, there is yajna that is performed. The marriage itself, that there is samskaras which grahastha, the marriage samskar is called the vivah samskar. There are 16 samskaras, of which 8 are important samskaras. One of the most important samskara is marriage. So the yajna, dana, tapa, these things go on. Householders, their duty is to look after the other ashrams. This is the rules, because the Grahastha ashram is the only ashram which is allowed to deal with money. So the husband or the male, these days, even both have to go, and they make some Lakshmi, and they look after, they raise Krishna conscious children, and they look after the other ashrams, in the sense by donating to the temple. For example, if we give donation to the temple, there are brahmacharis living in the temple, they're taken care of. There is vanaprasthas, not so many these days, but yeah, if there are any, they are taken care of. Sannyasi is taken care of. The grahastha is one of the considered to be most important ashram, because it is most responsible and most sacrificing in one sense, because they spend all their life into the service to the other ashram and supporting the other ashram. So it is very important and much appreciated by Krishna in many places. In Bhagavatam also, Krishna appreciates what grahasthas do, and Prabhupada is also quoted in various places the amount of responsibilities the grahasthas take, and we have seen that example in the temple in so many places. So this is but the condition that applies, as we say, anything that we get a license, conditions apply. So the conditions apply. If I can mute someone, sorry. Oh, I can't. Okay. So someone who's not talking, maybe on the mute, can go on mute, and then we can, or if you have any questions, you can raise later on. So the license.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Maybe you can right click against Madhvi Diti and click mute. Well, that's the only person who's.
Yeah, I'm trying.
In the participants, if you see, click on the participants.
Yeah. I can do that. I'm sure, but today I'm surprised. I should be the host. I should be able to do that. But I'm not able to somehow.
And also Leeladhar Vadakul. These two people are unmuted.
Okay. Everybody's expected to mute while Prabhuji is speaking, because it echoes anyway as well. So please, can we ask people to mute themselves?
Okay. Venkat Prabhu, I will make you the host, and then you can do that. Yeah. Now, okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, all good.
Yeah. So you're the host now. You can do it. Yeah, so we were talking about the license and the terms and conditions that apply. The terms and conditions are that how the householders use their senses and what they do. So householders, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a beautiful song when he says, when he comes back home and when he sees his children and his wife performing the puja, they have the deities at home, and they're cooking prasad, bhoga for the deities and taking prasad, and they're engaging in then the kirtan, and then they're discussing the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita at home, like we're doing at the moment. And that is the place Vaikuntha. So that's what he says. And this is what it is like in the rest ashram. If we follow those practices of deity worship, offering bhoga to the Lord, we then eat prasad, we do Bhagavad Gita, we do chanting, we do arti and prayers at home, we go to the temple, we make whatever Lakshmi we make, whatever we are able to give as donation, we do that. That is Vaikuntha, home. And the other aspect, what I was saying before, the Grahamedi, which Bhagavatam explains, where someone is not doing that, someone who thinks that the body or the vihar samskar that has taken place is for the purpose of the sense gratification. So they are called the Grihamedis. So they don't really make any progress. And in that sense, we have discussed, I'm sure many other speakers would have also discussed, there is no difference then in the animal life and the human life. Human life is athado brahma jigyasa. Means once we have taken the human birth, we inquire. for the higher purpose, for the self-realization, knows who we are really. So that is the terms and conditions that apply. And also in terms of the grihasthas, there is a concept of Purusha. There's the one enjoyer and the other enjoyed. But Krishna explains that it actually both are Prakriti. So whether someone is in the male body or the female body, ultimately they are Prakriti. So there are two types of Prakriti that will come in the later chapters. Krishna Bhumirapo Nalo Vayu Kham Buddhir Bhumirapo Nalo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhir Evacha. These are Bhinna Prakriti, so which are separated Prakriti. Then there is Aparayam Itastanyam Prakriti Vidhi Me Param Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho Yayedam Dharyate. So they are the people who are there. There is Para and Apara Prakriti. So these, who is the superior Prakriti is the Prakriti who is enjoying the inferior Prakriti, which is the material nature. So the living entities who are marginal potency, they are enjoying the inferior energy, which is the material energy. But they are both Prakritis. So, and then who is the Purusha? The Krishna himself is the only Purusha. He is the only enjoyer. So if we live with that understanding, Krishna says also, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Bhuta. Anyone can say that, Vankar Prabhu? Mamai Vamsha Jiva Bhuta.
Sanatana.
Vamsha Jiva Bhuta Jiva.
Mamai Vamsha. Yeah.
Mame Vamsha Jiva Bhuta.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mame. Prakriti Sthani Karshati, something like that.
Mana
Sashtani
Sashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Yes. So that is Manas, including the mind. There are the six senses. So the living entity is struggling. Living entity is struggling with the mind, into the six senses, including the mind. So if we are in that mentality of enjoying, then we are struggling. But if we are not, we are in the mentality of serving, then we're not struggling. We see the devotees are always so happy. They're bright looking, their faces are happy. So because they are trying to give whatever they have to Krishna, they are trying to make Krishna happy. So Krishna says, Rishikena Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. So who's the Rishik? Rishik is the senses. And Rishik Isha is the Lord, God of these senses. So the Lord is the sensor. Who's the God? So when someone is offering their senses in enjoying or giving pleasure to the Krishna's senses, then that is bhakti, that is the highest, and they are the happiest people. So in Grihastha Ashram, this is the term and condition that apply. And we have seen practical examples. There are many practical examples that we hear of in the scriptures, and our own Srila Prabhupada was Grihastha. Then he since the childhood, when we read the biography, then we see how Prabhupada's father also was such a highly elevated Vaishnava, and how Prabhupada was brought up as a little boy. He used to do the Jagannath Yatra, and they used to perform Aarti every day, and how he was trained by his father to play Mridanga, and his father was not in favor of him going to the West to study. He would say he would rather be here and serving Srimati Radharani. That was his more interest. So these are the Vaishnava families and Grihasthas examples, so many of them. And I was thinking there's an example I was thinking of today to discuss was in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is there's Ramanujacharya, one of his disciples, his name was Dhanur Das. So has anyone heard of his name, Dhanur Das?
No, Prabhuji, I didn't.
Okay, so I'll tell you a story. This is a very beautiful story. Dhanur Das, so he was very attracted to his wife's eyes, and what happened once is what happens in the temple, South India more. I've been to some of the, I've been to Srirangam and Udupi. They take the Utsav Murti, so the lords come out of the temple and there will be a big procession. There'll be elephants, and there'll be, big chariots, and there will be dance, and there will be, nice music, kartal and mridanga playing and singing. There was a big procession going on, and the Lord was, on the street, and everyone follows that. And at one time, this procession was going on, and then there was this Dhanur Das. What he was doing was, he had his wife with him, and he was carrying an umbrella. It was, South India could be hot in this, particularly in the summertime, and he was carrying his umbrella and protecting his wife from the sun. And he was constantly, while he was protecting her and also walking along, he was just looking at her all the time, and looking at her eyes. And somehow Ramanujacharya, happened to see this person, and he was wondering what's happening with this person. And the other thing, Dhanudas at the time was completely oblivious of what's happening on the street. Like, the procession is going, the Lord is going there, everyone singing and dancing the glories, and then Dhanudas is completely oblivious. He can't see anywhere else. All he's seeing is the eyes of his wife and walking along. So Ramanujacharya feels compassion. This is the nature of a Vaishnava, that they feel very compassionate when they see conditioned souls. So he saw him and said, wow, this is really extraordinary. This person, I must do something about him. So he called his disciples and said, can you go and call this person who is, walking with his wife like that? So they went there, and, it was hard to take away Dhanudas's attention, because he was just fully focused. And somehow they convinced that, Ramanujacharya is the greatest Acharya here, such a saintly person is calling you. You must be very fortunate that he's calling you, so you must come. So after some convincing, he said, okay, because he was Nyasi Ramanujacharya at the time. So there is still that consideration of respect. So he was, he came finally to Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya said, can I ask you, you did not even see that the procession of the Lord is going on, and you're just focused in looking at, at that woman or your wife. So what is it that you're looking at? He says, well, I can't look anywhere else. I'm just completely attracted by the eyes. Her eyes are so beautiful. I just can't look at anything else. This is my full meditation. And Ramanujacharya again felt, this is so. I mean, once it was sad, and the other thing he was thinking, okay, I must do something for this person. He says, okay, if it is only about the eyes, what if you see some eyes which are even more beautiful than your wife's eyes? He says, really? And he says, I don't believe there can be any other eyes more beautiful than my wife's eyes. But he said, Ramanujacharya said, what if there is, what will happen then? He says that if there is, anyone has more beautiful eyes, then I will just look at that person. He said, okay, then you do one thing. You come tomorrow to me and meet me at the temple, and I will show you something. He says, okay. And then Dhanudas somehow, because there's power in the words of the Acharyas. He said, okay, I will come tomorrow. So Dhanudas arrives next day at Ramanujacharya's place in the temple. And while Ramanujacharya was praying to the Lord that, Lord, please, I'm bringing this person to you, and he's really mesmerized by the material energy. And I would, really pray to you that you give your love to him, and he gets attracted to you. So, the prayer of Vaishnava is very powerful. So Dhanudas comes along, and Ramanujacharya takes him to show, the Ranganath's Murti. Has anyone been to Sri Ranga and seen the Ranganath there? Darshan has taken? Okay. Very beautiful. I would, if you get a chance sometime, you should visit. It's beautiful. So it's huge. It's very big, and and you can see the Lord's eyes. And actually, when we went to the Yatra, South India Yatra at that time, this whole story was told. So I just remember that. So when Dhanudas went to see the Lord, and then Ramanujacharya says, you can see the eyes here. What do you think about this? When he looked at the eyes, he was completely mesmerized. This is obviously the mercy coming in, and because Ramanujacharya prayed for him, and Lord being the most merciful, he gave his mercy, and Dhanudas was completely attracted. He said, I've never seen anything and like more beautiful than these eyes. This is what I want to do. I want to surrender. And Ramanujacharya, that's perfect, that he can come in. And then, he just, Dhanudas was just completely absorbed, and he just wanted to do nothing else but serve the Lord there. And so that every day you can get darshan. So Ramanujacharya then said, okay, you're in a householder life, that's fine. You can also call your wife here. And then the wife also, when she was very pious, and she also surrendered, and they said, okay, you both live in a Grihastha ashram, and they became his disciples. And somehow they had received so much mercy from Sripad Ramanujacharya, and to the other disciples of Ramanujacharya who were brahmacharis, those who were restraining the senses, as we discussed before, and with the mental control and performing all the austerities. And I mean, all glories to them, but this is how the story went on. So, when they saw that this couple is getting so much mercy from our spiritual master, what is so special about them? They're normal grihasthas. They have a house. We don't even have a house. They have clothes. We don't have proper clothes. Even the wife has jewelry. With all this house jewelry, so much opulence. How is that they're getting so much mercy from our spiritual master? And to the extent, they in some way they started to criticize their own spiritual master, because they're doubting him as to why he's giving more mercy to a married couple instead of us. He always gets the first attention. Like whenever there's class happening, our spiritual master is always talking to them. Even after the class, he's calling them and discussing them, asking how their lives, how they're maintaining their grihastha life. So Ramanujacharya got that hint of what's going on. So what he did the next day is, when all the brahmacharis were taking rest in the night, he went there, and where they hang their clothes, their coffins, their undergarments. Ramanujacharya ripped some of them. And next day, what happened was, when the brahmacharis woke up in the morning, they saw the coffins were ripped. So they got pretty annoyed, like, who's done this? And they started to, have argument amongst each other. You've done this, like discussing so much among them. There's so much commotion in there. And Ramanujacharya said, what happened? What's going on here? He said, no, he's done this and he's done to me. And so, okay, that's fine. He just calmed them down and said, well, you guys are so attached. So what to speak of Dhanudas, how much he will be attached. And then they said, okay, now our spiritual master is understanding. He said, yes, he is very attached. He said, okay, let's see how much he's attached tonight. What you do is, I will ask you to call Dhanudas in the middle of the night. And when I call him, you go to his house and you steal his wife's jewelry. He said, okay, we'll do that and see what happens then. So that as planned, on the same night, Ramanujacharya called for Dhanudas and said, okay, one of the disciples, go and call him here. Tell him I need to talk to him. So they went there and say, okay, it's late night. Our spiritual master is calling me, so I have to go. And he said, okay, you take rest, to his wife. And he went to see his spiritual master, Ramanujacharya. And in the meantime, as planned, the other brahmacharis went to his house, and they entered quietly, and they saw that his wife was taking rest. They started to take the the jewelry of her earrings they took out, and the bangle they started. So she was lying on the one side, and they started to take out the jewelry, and then the wife actually realized what's happening. These brahmacharis are definitely servants of our spiritual master, and they're coming to take my jewelry. There must be something that our spiritual master, is in need of. Otherwise, why would they do this? So she tried to turn around so that they can take the other side of it. But when she turned around, they thought that she's waking up. So they just got out of fear. They ran from there, and they came back to the ashram. And Ramanujacharya then said, okay, to Dhanudas, you can go home. And then he told his disciples, you can follow him and see what happens when he goes home, what discussions happen between them. And they said, okay, they went there, they followed him. And as soon as Dhanudas reached home, and his wife, had like half of the jewelry, he said, what's happening with you? She said, yes, I will, good you've come here. I wanted to tell you that. I'm sure our Guru Maharaj needs some Lakshmi. There's something, which is, not fulfilled in the temple. And that's why his servants came and they were taking away my jewelry. And they said, then the husband says, why do you have some jewelry left? Why did you not give all of them? He said, no, because what happened, they were taking, I was lying on one side, they came to take out from one side, and I wanted to turn so that they can the other, but they ran away. He said, oh, he was so angry at his wife. I think, how can you do that? You should have been, lying still, so they would have taken the rest. Now, it is not good that we're not able to offer everything to a spiritual master. So the servants who were doubtful of these grihastha, when they saw this, they were so impressed and so actually humbled. They came back to Ramanujacharya and said, this is what we heard, that, he was actually, he was angry at his wife, because why did she not allow us to take all the jewelry? Why only half? So then they obviously understood the lesson. So Ramanujacharya said, this is what it is, so you all can be in the brahmachari ashram, you can be attached to your coffin when you have nothing else. And someone who's in the grihastha ashram, they want to give away everything. So who's attached is nothing to do with the ashram. It is the individual's, the mood of service that is higher. So the ashrams are not higher. It's the mood of service that is higher. So this is one example. There are many such examples, obviously. I'm just conscious of time. This is 8:35, 36 now. There's also, today is the disappearance day of one of our Vaishnava Acharya, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So in the 4th chapter only we read Evam Parampara Praptim Imam Rajarshyo Vidhu Sa Kalina Mahat Yogo Nashta Parantapa. So Parampara system is we have discussed, I'm sure, many times, is what is required in any lineage or any spiritual, what we call sampradaya, is only considered genuine when there is a proper parampara coming all the way from the Lord. So in our parampara, Guru parampara, does anyone know who is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj? I'm sure many of you know. Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my
Yes.
humble obeisances. Is it Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's spiritual master?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was the spiritual master of His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and who is the spiritual master of our Srila Prabhupada as well. So he's in that, he's the parampara. In our altar also we have the parampara there. You can see there is Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, there's Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and then there is Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So he is there, and it is his disappearance day today, and he is considered to be the epitome of Vairagya. He was renounced. He was extremely renounced person, and it is said that he spent after his wife passed away, he went to live in Vrindavan and Barsana there, and lived about 30 years in Barsana, and then he had an inner calling go to Navdeep. So that's where he was introduced. So he met Bhaktivinoda Thakur there, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so impressed and so attracted to him. So he asked, his son or his Divine Grace to take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So he was obviously such an exalted Vaishnava that as soon as he arrived there, people, got to know very quickly that this personality is not ordinary. So a lot of them wanted to take his advice all the time, or people get attracted to the acharyas. So, but Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was very careful in who he would discuss or talk to or he would associate with. He was very, very detached. And to avoid, when they said that, to avoid general class of people, he would actually, to the extent he would sit in the toilet and chant there. He said, this is like, because that is the place when nobody would go there. And someone wanted to build him a big place or ashram or something. He said, no, I don't need all that. I already have ashram. This is where I chant to my bhajan. And he would be so detached. And he was a grasta before, so he would be so detached. Once he was announced, he was so detached. Even he would only wear one loincloth, of the copy, as we said before. And that also he would take from the cemetery. Can you imagine with the dead bodies, they throw away, remove. So those are the rags he would wear. But he was so exalted. Like, who is Siddhanta? We know that. What such great personalities taking initiation from him. So you can imagine the greatness of this personality. There are so many other stories, and he also gives us. Yeah, that reminds me. He also said, "I'll take one more minute, then we go." So 1 more minute. So he said also, like, one of his one person as a young, he got attracted to him, and he started to live with him. And he said, I want to be a disciple. And he said, okay, you can be here. So he stayed there for some time, but obviously he could not survive for long because it was very austere. So this person finally left the ashram, and he got married. And later on, he came back with his wife to take blessings from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And he said, okay, this is my wife, and I'm married now, so we need your blessings. And so that we have a fully dedicated life to the service of you and Sri Krishna. So Babaji Maharaj told him one thing, okay, so this is your wife, so you want to live a fully surrendered and dedicated life to Krishna, then what you should do is, you should consider your wife as Krishna Dasi, and she's a Vaishnavi. You spend all your life serving her, and that way your life will be successful. But if you try to enjoy each other, then your life is not going to be successful. So that is the instruction he gave to, and this is the very classic instruction that in the Grihastha ashram, how the couple is supposed to be treating each other, both helping each other, supporting each other in the progress of their spiritual life. So this is probably now 8:41. Yes, it is. So I think we can go to the next part of the program. I will share the Damodar Ashram. Is this good enough?
That's all right, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably.
Okay, do we start? You want us to start, Prabhuji?
Yes, please, Mataji, please start.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Namamishwaram, Shwaram, Sachit, Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokule, Brajmanam, Namami Shwaram Sachit Ananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam Lasat kundalam gokule brajamanam. Namamishwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat kundalam gokule prajamanam. Yashoda biyoloka ladhavamanam. Param rushtamatyanta drutya gopya. Yashoda biyoloka ladhavamanam. Param Rishtamadhyanta Trutya Gopya Rudantam Mohonetra Yugmam Mrijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Shatakanitam Rudam Tam Mohonetra Yugmam Mrijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Shatakanetram Moho Shvashakam Patri Rekanta Kanta Shrita Greya Pam Damodar Bhakti Bandam Iti Drikshvalilabhir Ananda Kunde Swagosha Nimajjantam Akyapayantam Tadiyeshitageshu Bhaktirjitatvam Puna Prematastam Sata Vrishtigvande Varam Deva Mokshamna Moksham Vadimva Nachanyam Briham Vare Sadapiha Idam Teva Purnata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Vidastam Kimanye Idam te mukum bojam atyantanile vritam kuntalai snigdha rakshas jagopya mohosham vitam bimba raktadharam me manasya virastam alam lakshalabhay Guru Ve, no, sorry, wrong one. Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Rikshyati Dinam Vatanu Grihane Shamam Ajnam Akshitrishya Kuverat Majaubadha Muktya Vayadva Tvaya Muchitau Bhakti Bhajau Kritau Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Swa Kame Payacha Namokshe Graho Mesti Damodareha Namaste Sudamneshvu Radipti Damne Tvadiyo Darayata Vishwaya Dhamne Namo Radhikaya Tva Diya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Divaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tva Diya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Divaya Tubhyam Namami Shwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam Namami Shwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat kundalam gokule Rajamanam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation.
Thank you so much, Yali Mataji. Very nice. Yeah, please read the song.
To the Supreme Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who brilliantly manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped down from the motor and ran in the retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda,
Sorry,
but
Hare
was
Krishna.
ultimately
Sorry.
caught.
Are you reading some other translation that I'm not able to follow?
Oh, okay. This is from a handbook of Vaishnava songs and practices because I'm doing it from my phone and I can't read the full sentence. So I'm reading from the book.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay.
It's too because the whole sentence doesn't come in my phone.
So
So
the words are slightly different. So I got
a little bit different. Yeah, I think the first first shloka is a bit different. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Storerooms, and who then quickly jumped down from the motor and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Verse 2. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace, which was around his neck, marked with 3 lines, shook. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, who is bound with his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Verse 3. Again, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality. O my Lord, I offer my obeisances hundreds and thousands of times with all affection, because by your personal pastimes you plunge the gopis into an ocean of nectar. Appreciating your opulence, devotees generally declare that you are always subjugated by their feelings. It's a bit different, isn't it, Prabhuji, I think, from the...
Yes, I've never heard that before. So.
Okay, this is a handbook of Vaishnava songs and practices, which I bought from the temple. I thought it will be the same. So sorry about that.
Fair enough. No, carry on, please.
Okay. Verse 4. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for impersonal liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon in this world. My only prayer is that your wonderful form as a cowherd boy may always appear in my heart and mind. What is the use of any other benediction? Verse 5. O Lord, your lotus face is encircled by locks of soft black curling hair tinged with red, and your beautiful lips are reddish like the ripe bimba fruit. Your beautiful face is being kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda. Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my heart. Verse 6. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord Damodar, I offer my obeisances unto you. Be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow. Please shower your glance of mercy upon me. Uplift this poor ignorant fool and become visible before my eyes. Verse 7. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you with a rope to a wooden grinding motor. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. In this same way, please give me your own prema bhakti. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. Verse 8 I offer my obeisances to this shining rope that binds your belly, and to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances unto you, the Supreme Lord who displays unlimited pastimes. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Yes, I think the overall everything meaning is the same, just a few words. So, thank you
Yes,
so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Responses, we still have 5 or 7 minutes. I don't know if there's anything we can discuss or any questions or comments.
Oh, Prabhuji, I'd like to ask about sacrifice, actually.
Oh yeah, please.
It sounds a bit painful, sacrifice, the word itself. And I'm thinking about the verse itself saying about Vaishnavas as well as householders having to give up certain things. I'm thinking about especially the householders, what have they got to give up? Something that, I mean, nothing belongs to us anyway. So why are we giving up something that doesn't belong to us?
Yeah, that's very high. Thank you so much, Mataji. There is actually a pastime of one of the Prabhupada's early disciples, and he took sannyas. I mean, he was given the first sannyas. And when Prabhupada gave him sannyas, and he says to Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, should I just renounce everything? Prabhupada asked him exactly, what have you got? What is yours to renounce? So what is that? Can someone, I mean, there is something that we can renounce. Can anyone say that? What is it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Attachment.
Say that again.
False ego.
False ego. Yes, yes, very close. Yes.
Attachment to whatever we have.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything, then there is no attachment.
That's right. There's no attachment.
So what Krishna doesn't, so this is special, it's very special about Krishna. So there is a definition of love. Love is never a force. And Krishna is Premamurti. He's after our love. So love has to be by our own desire, our will. So what devotees sacrifice is their own personal will. So the will is never taken away in one way. So Krishna doesn't take away anyone's will. So all these different transcendentalists and people, the different types of offering sacrifices they're making, they're all different. And Krishna is not forcing anyone what they should do. It's only the Bhakti Yoga where Krishna takes the love from the devotees. Why is Bhakti so difficult? Bhakti is actually, in one way, it is very easy. But in another way, it is very rare. It's not difficult, but it's rare. Why is it rare? It's very pertinent to the Damodar Ashtakam that we are singing these days. Can anyone think of why is Bhakti so rare? So the answer that we understand from our acharyas is, see, Bhakti is rare because if you understand, we'll understand the other processes. So what is a yogi doing? Yogi, dhyana avasthita gadena manasa pashyanti. So these yogis are.
They're actually avoiding the clutch of Maya.
No, yeah, but what actually they are trying to achieve? What everyone is trying, it's all these spiritualists, so-called, are trying to avoid the clutches of Maya. But what they are asking, the yogis are after the siddhis, they're ashta siddhis. They can laghima or mahima. They can become very small. They can, there are some yogis who can, the door is closed and they can come out of the closed door also. They call laghima and mahima, when they can become so big. Like Hanumanji has so many siddhis. We'll do sometimes Hanumanji's stories, like how many siddhis he had. All the siddhis he had. He could become very big. Some of the yogis, I mean, Hanumanji is a devotee, greatest devotee. But these yogis wanted siddhis. So they want to become, again, they want to be the controller. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakala Ashant. Krishna Bhakta Eva Prashant. Because the Krishna Bhakta is always, why is they always happy? Because they are always trying to please Krishna. But why is the Bhakti so rare? Because in all the other processes, Krishna gives very easily. Because Krishna, this is like a business, trade. Okay, you perform austerity, you want the siddhi, you get it. Or you want to merge into the Supreme Brahman, okay, you merge. In none of those scenarios, Krishna becomes a subservient, or maybe becomes bound by the devotee's love. Now, what's happening in Damodar Ashtakam? Mother Yashoda is able to bind Krishna, where who the whole, every living entity, all the transcendental, all the greatest tapasvis and the gyanis and yogis, they're all trying to seek Krishna's attention only once. Yeah, the yogis are trying to see Krishna within their heart in the four-ended form, and the gyanis trying to understand through the scriptures all the so many hundreds and thousands of scriptures. They're trying to understand Krishna. But Krishna is being bound by his devotee, Mother Yashoda. And that is what is difficult. So Krishna does not give bhakti very easily, because when given bhakti, he can be bound by his devotees. So no one wants to be bound. Okay? This is Supreme Lord. He does not want to be bound. But, the same Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is freely distributing bhakti. He's not even seeing who's eligible, who's not eligible. There's this Jagai Madai story. There are so many different types of Mayavadis and people who are, yogis or tapasvis. There's milk drinking Brahman. There's this Mayavadi Prakashananda Saraswati, and there is Chand Kazi, is a Muslim, and Mahaprabhu is giving mercy and Krishna's love to everyone. He's giving bhakti freely to everyone. Same Krishna comes back as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gives the same bhakti. The bhakti is very rare, but also is made available by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Maha. That's why his name is Namo Mahavadanyaya. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurati Shenana. And from Mahaprabhu, our parampara comes from there and comes all the way to Srila Prabhupada, who was sitting very nicely, situated very nicely in Vrindavan, in Radha Damodar Mandir. But at that tender age, he comes to the west on the way in the ship, just inconceivable. He had 2 heart attacks. He's traveling in a cargo ship, and he's alone. He's got 40 rupees or something, which I don't know how many, $12 it meant. He's going where only he has one address for some Gopal Agarwal who is going to receive him. And he does not know anyone else. He has no money. All he's carrying is Srimad Bhagavatam. But he's taking all that effort to give Krishna Bhakti to the whole world. And that's the whole reason we are here in the UK, and we've been made given facilities by Srila Prabhupada. His temple here, all his devotees, all his disciples, they did so much work. They spread Krishna's Bhakti for everyone. So sacrifice is a must. So sorry, probably a little bit distracted. So sacrifice, Jolly Mataji, actually Jolly Mataji asked the question, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So sacrifice is painful, but if we see that, it's also explained that all of us are already, in that service. We are serving someone. There is not a time when we don't serve. It is our intrinsic nature to serve. Jivara Swarup hoye Krishna Nityadas. Actually, Chaitanya Charitamrita explained that Mahaprabhu says the original constitutional nature of a jiva or living entity is to serve Krishna. When he's forgetting Krishna, Bahirmukha, when he's out, he's looking outside, not inside, then he's serving his senses or the extension of senses. So the service is a must, sacrifice is a must, it never stops. Even if you see, even the atheist people who don't believe in God, you see there's all sorts of donation, charity, yajna, dana, tapa. These 3 things happens all the time. I used to work in an organization, and my managing director used to send me emails at 4 o'clock in the morning. And one day I asked him, 4 o'clock in the morning you're sending me email. He said, yes, work is important, work is worship. People in the old days, people used to say work is worship. So some people are sacrificing their time for the purpose of making money. Some people are sacrificing the people are staying up all night and you go to London doing all sorts of things. They spend sacrificing their sleep. So people are sacrificing something or the other, either to enjoy the senses, or the devotees or the transcendentalists, they sacrifice their senses and their time and money, whatever they are. Just like we are the caretakers. It is said that we don't own anything, but we are the caretakers. So if we understand the principle of caretaker and then we say, okay, this belongs to someone, I then offer to the same person who it belongs to, then we are bhakta yogis. And then, but if we try to enjoy the same, then we are the thieves, stealing. So sacrifice is a must. Even if we don't do it, it just happens. But the happiness only comes when it is sacrificed. That sacrifice is meant for Krishna because he is the source of all happiness. It is well proven. Does that answer your question, or did I?
I just thought sacrifice sounds quite severe, and it's a put off. It's a put off word, because if I was to come to Krishna consciousness, seeking out the truth or looking for something better than what I have, and somebody says about sacrifice, and often most religions say sacrifice, it's kind of you sort of ward off, you're guarded away from that because it's kind of threatening. And I think when you say serve Krishna, or actually what shall I say, it's to sort of soften the word and rewrite it maybe, because it's kind of a heavy demand, really, a demanding word. I just think, and Krishna consciousness is not demanding. It's much more softer and gentle and kinder and loving and caring and all that. And it's a put off word. Maybe that's what's not attracting people.
Okay. So what it is, Mataji, actually, yajna is called sacrifice. Sometimes it is difficult to translate some words, but yajna is what we offer. So sacrifice, you can say simply, if you put in a simple word, which is sacrifice, becomes a technical word, but this is the right word for yajna. But if we say it's offering, some people are offering their sense, some people are offering their mind, and some are offering. It's an offering like that.
Offering Krishna because it belongs to Krishna.
Yeah.
So you're showing some concern and some respect that, you give us everything. We're just offering what we're able to do to you.
Yeah.
For
this
you.
Is what, yes, this is like when we go to in India, it is very popular. People go to the holy rivers and they take water from the holy river and they offer to the holy river. They 3 times they offer. So what's happening? They're taking from the same river and they're offering to the same river. So that way, we are, whatever we have, we've been given by Krishna and we're offering back to Krishna. So I mean, the essence, you already got the essence, obviously. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we use austerity instead of sacrifice? It's the same, isn't austerity? Like we are fasting because that is dear to Krishna when we fast on Ekadashi.
We fast on Ekadashi.
Rather than saying we sacrifice all the food and not eat food, we are doing an austerity. That's what
there are different terms. We can probably have another session on that. So there is the austerity is called tapa, or this is the austerity is like willingly trying to abstain from something that we would normally take. That is the austerity. The yajna is offering something. So there are slightly different terms, if you can follow me what I'm saying. So yajna and dana is like, again, dana is donation, right? Giving away. So there are 3 different things. Yajna, dana and tapa. There are 3 different things. Tapa is the austerity. Dana is the giving or offering, donation, charity and all that. And the yajna is the sacrifice of our, whatever we think that is ours, I mean, and Jolly Mataji, you're right that nothing belongs to us. But then this is, in one sense, we have been given this body because we desired to be away from Krishna. So we can do whatever we want to do with this body. And we see that different people do different things with the body.
Because you can say, I give my house to my neighbor. you know, so you're sacrificing and you're giving up everything, but none of us are able to do that.
Oh, okay, thank you for. So what it is, Yajna is Krishna himself. Yajna Purush, Yajna is defined as Vishnu or Krishna. So unless something is offered to Krishna, it is not even a Yajna. So this sacrifice is Yajna. All these transcendentalists that we are seeing, they are doing one or the other activities, and they're trying to offer to Krishna. Yeah, they're trying to offer the sleep to Krishna. Their mind, because mind is people offer their mind, means how do they offer their mind? By controlling it, restraining.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking originally yajna, sacrifice, is to do with offering days and days of offering and using offering to the fire. I mean that was the implication. But when you said about yajna can be any offering, anything you do.
Yes,
anything
to Krishna.
Yes.
Vishnu is that yajna.
Yes, which is lovely. That is nice. So we can say we perform yajna, and it is lovely because it gives that beautiful human implication that you see what I mean.
You can say that, yeah, totally.
We can go on, can't we, in this area? Yes.
Yeah, you can say yajna is even more beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I like it, what you're saying. I'm totally with
Thank you.
Thank you, that's nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I was just thinking about yajna as a sacrifice. The word Jolly Mataji said sacrifice is a harsh word. I was thinking like when a new mother has a baby, normally the mother will be like sleeping at night and doing her own things. But as soon as she has a baby, a newborn baby, the baby wakes up at night, cries, then she has to change the nappy, feed the baby, whatever, so she's sacrificing her sleep. So that's how we should think. Sacrifice is a soft word. Actually.
Yes.
Out of love.
Yes,
we serve the baby no matter what time at night the baby is waking up and doing whatever. So we do, isn't it? So
but that's a good example. But how can you call it sacrifice? Because it's a must. The baby depends on you, and you love that baby so much.
The same thing as Krishna. Krishna is dependent on the devotees, the pure devotees.
That's right. So it's yajna. It's yajna. It's not sacrificial act. Sorry.
Yeah, yajna is. I mean, it's translated as sacrifice, but sacrifice is a soft word. If you think about a mother and a newborn baby,
it's not
the same
soft.
thing
It's
with
harsh.
Krishna and the pure devotees.
What I would suggest, Jolly Mataji, maybe you can do the dictionary.
Invent a new word for sacrifice.
Yes, a new dictionary.
Yeah,
we can do a KC one, can't we?
Yes, thank you.
KC dictionary.
Yeah.
Yes, we should create one of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for having such great patience. It can be a big subject next time.
Yes, surely. Thank you so
much. And yajna can be a subject. We're inclusive anyway.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Very, 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 very nice. And the stories were so good. The story that you said about the South Indian, it was so good. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.